In this video, we are talking about NWA, Austin Theory, and of course, AEW Rampage. There's a lot of big changes, a lot of big things happening in wrestling. We're going to get pretty in depth. So with that being said, let's just kind of jump into it. WWE is reportedly going all in on Austin Theory. I thought it was obvious. Maybe you didn't know. But WrestleVotes put out a very interesting tweet today. Now that his push is in full effect, source states he anticipates bigger and bigger things for Theory. A person with direct knowledge states Vince sees a young John Cena in Theory and will give the kid everything he needs to be successful. Now here's the thing. A lot of people might try to dismiss this. But I've been doing this long enough to see that a lot of people, whether they do it for engagement, whether they do it just to spew some anti-WWE stuff, I don't know. Now, I'm not saying WWE has a great track record of building up the greatest stars, but I feel like WWE finally went back to the system that does it, right? But it appears to me that there's been a lot of people in recent years who have gone to social media, Discord, comments on the channel, whatever. WWE can't make new stars. They can't make new stars. Nope. WWE can't make new stars. Have we ever considered that maybe WWE can create new stars, but they're not willing to create the stars that you personally think should be a star? And think about it. I love Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor is a great talent. But it was clear that WWE did not love Finn Balor the way I loved Finn Balor. But it was clear when Austin Theory first arrived on the main roster, originally with Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy, right? And that whole group. It was very clear when WWE had him. It was pretty evident that WWE wanted to do something with Theory. And it took a little bit of time. He had to go back to NXT, join Johnny Gargano. Now he is back on the main roster. Now he's a champion. Guys, WWE's issue is not whether or not they can create new stars. I don't really think that's an issue. I think they can. My concern is that WWE doesn't create the stars that you want created. Now, we'll see what this means for WWE and their business and whether or not Austin Theory can draw, whether or not Austin Theory could be a big star for WWE. But I think Austin Theory getting pushed and Austin Theory being given everything he needs to be successful will actually be a great thing for WWE. This shows that WWE is willing to do more than just push Roman Reigns. It's strange because I think when you look at Austin Theory and what he has done on television as a heel, I have been saying all along, this is not his final form. Just like John Cena, Doctor of Thugonomics, it eventually evolved into something else. That's where I see Austin Theory. So can WWE create stars? They can. But is it going to be heavily favored by the IWC? I don't think so. But this is what we need from WWE. This is what we need from WWE. This is why we need NXT. And most importantly, this is why we need AEW and GCW and Impact and MLW. This is why we need more companies. We need more companies because WWE needs competition. WWE needs to do what WWE does best. WWE can put out good product if they want, but they don't do it consistently. AEW could put out a good product if they want, but they don't do it consistently. But you know what's going to get them to do better stuff every single time? Having competition. And the way to do that is by developing stars. Whether they're heels or baby faces, you got to develop stars. Simple as that. The NWA has announced the Alwayz Ready pay-per-view, and it's taking place June 11th on Saturday, obviously 2022. The Alwayz Ready pay-per-view is being branded after the world's champion, Zack Ryder, a.k.a. Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Zack Ryder. If you guys don't know who Matt Cardona is, I highly encourage that you watch more wrestling. That's the beauty of having multiple companies. And I've said it before, I'm not the biggest fan of NWA. I like their booking. I like their stories. I don't like the presentation. I'm not a fan of the nostalgia, personally speaking. I just don't think it really resonates with me. Which is fine. It doesn't have to. I'm not saying they have to create a product that's tailored to me. I still watch it. I just wish they became a little bit more modernized. Maybe partner with a different company. You know, I think Billy Corgan has a lot of potential. I think eventually we'll see the true vision of this company. This is a step in the right direction. Matt Cardona is a great wrestler, and he's shown that he could be a great character. And he's done this while leaving WWE. AEW had him on TV for like, what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. They didn't use him. My point that I'm making, guys, this is why I say wrestling companies need to exist. This is why we need to have more wrestling companies. Because if WWE can't create new stars, you can go to NWA, become a star, and WWE can sign you. AEW can too, right? But I think ideally what we want to see is new faces. We want to see new faces. As much as I like Roman Reigns, I don't want to see Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles. I need something new. Great. Cody Rhodes went to AEW. Now he's back in WWE. We saw Drew McIntyre leave WWE, go to TNA. Now he's back in WWE. That's important. That is why it's important guys like Matt Cardona go out there and experience more wrestling companies, experience the indies, take over. And then on top of that, if he chooses to come back to WWE, great. He established himself. And that is not credit to anybody else other than Matt Cardona. But that's why this is so important to have multiple companies. This is beautiful news, and I'm excited about it. I want to switch over to AEW because AEW could very well be making some big changes to Rampage. There's a lot of talk surrounding AEW Rampage. Most recently, the Eddie Kingston and Daniel Garcia match. Live experience was 22 minutes long, but on television, it was cut down to 9 minutes. And the reason for this is because AEW is trying to literally jam-pack the entire Rampage show, which I understand why. It's a tough situation that AEW has. This is going to be subject to a lot of controversial opinions because some people are going to think that AEW Rampage should just stay 1 hour. It should stay pre-taped and everything. But now, you know, with NBA and NHL coverage with TBS and TNT, Rampage could very well be moving dates and times again. And this should actually be expected. Now, the solution to this is for AEW Rampage to either be moved to a different television partner, which wouldn't really make sense, by the way, or be moved on a different night. And I think the solution to that would also be moving it to 2 hours. And I know this is definitely controversial. I know some people don't like it. I know some people do. But Eddie Kingston and Daniel Garcia having a 22-minute match going down to 9 minutes on TV just so you can fit a whole bunch of stuff, to me, it sucks. That sucks. I think it takes away from the product. And I don't think of this as a negative thing. I think of this as a good thing for AEW. I do think if AEW moved their time slot on a day that wouldn't be interfered by NHL or NBA coverage, I think they'd probably do pretty damn well with Rampage. I think the viewership would increase. I think more people would have interest in Rampage. I think if Rampage went 2 hours long, I think more people would be interested. And the reason why I think there would be more interest and more people actually looking at at the show and paying attention to the show, I think the reason why people would have that interest is because we know that AEW has the possibilities that are endless. They can tell a good story. They can do good television. We know this. And we know they can do a great pay-per-view. But it is difficult for a viewer. I am the viewer. Let's talk about myself. One day it's at 7 p.m. One day it's 10 p.m. One day it's at 11:30 p.m. or after the college basketball game. And I get it. Rampage does not take priority over the other sports. And I understand that. But as a fan, it becomes confusing to me. And I don't know if this is a scenario in which maybe AEW, maybe True TV or something. I don't know. Now this whole thing with Discovery, the merger, I think this is so important because now there's more channels where potentially you can move it. Right? It's all under one big umbrella. So with Discovery, maybe there's another channel where they can say, hey, we could put it on a special time slot that is accessible by just as many people as it is, TNT, and it won't be interfered by sports coverage. And I think that could be a solution. And you could do the 1 hour pre-taped show that way. Or if you're WWE, AEW, and all of these companies, what you could start doing is developing your own platform. WWE had the WWE Network. They sold it to Peacock. But it was a great idea. I don't know the logistics of it and the business aspect of it. I know WWE is getting a lot more viewership now on Peacock than they were on the WWE Network. But I assume that maybe Rampage or maybe AEW can have their own app. I don't know. I'm trying to think of different ways for AEW to do this, whether it's its own app, whether it's on Discovery Plus, whether it's, whatever they're doing. Like maybe Rampage doesn't actually have to be on TV. I don't know. Have we ever thought about that? I mean, I think it should be accessible on a weekly basis to all types of fans, everybody. But I also think WWE and AEW have two different products that are yet very similar in regards to TV rights. At the end of the day, they are producing X amount of content for TV, and that's why TV rights are paying out a lot of money. But WWE has a distribution through another streaming app. AEW doesn't, and that's the big difference there. So with Rampage having scheduling issues, and then you got to cut down matches, and you're trying to put as much on there as possible because you have a big roster. You're trying to fit people in. By the way, now you got to start considering Ring of Honor. What the hell is happening with Ring of Honor? There is a lot of stuff that needs to be talked about, but I really, really hope people understand where I'm coming from here, because I think Rampage is a very fun show. I don't think it's the most important show. I don't think it's the greatest show, but I think it's a very fun show. And I like that when you tune into Rampage, even though there's not really a brand split, there's a lot of faces that you see on Rampage on a consistent basis. For one example, Hook, Swerve Scott, a.k.a. Shane Strickland. I'm going to have to get used to that. Some of these guys with WWE names, I'm going to have to get used to calling them a different name now because I'm so used to calling them Isaiah Swerve Scott. But Shane Strickland, Swerve, right? Keith Lee. I look at some of these people and they've been seen more on Rampage. That's not a bad thing. But I think it's important that Rampage does have a set schedule. It's consistent. It doesn't feel rushed. And lately it's been feeling rushed. But I think there's a lot of potential here. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.